Hello and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer replay. This was a really interesting one. I got a lot of fun playing this one. I mean, fucking hell, the micromanagement in this one was probably very poor, but I really had a lot of fun. So, it's Skaven versus Empire, and I've always struggled with this matchup. I don't know why, but every time I play Skaven against the Empire, I just seem to struggle with the matchup. I don't know, maybe I'm being too generous and I don't bring artillery, but like I never like to bring artillery. I like to sort of more be sort of a micromanaging sort of guy, you know, not having to sit back and camp. I always like to go to the enemy and actually bring the fight. But yeah, so Skaven vs Empire, I've always struggled with that matchup. So as for the build, in the front line here, I've got clan rats with spears. Now, mainly when I've been facing Empire builds, I've been facing a lot of, like, you know, anti-infantry cavalry, because, you know, it's always really good against Skaven, you know, bringing cavalry that's anti-infantry. It's just, you know, it's guaranteed value against a lot of their units. But, so in the front line here, I've gone with clan rat spears with shields, of course, in case he tries to cycle charge me. They're in these sort of blobby formations, so, you know, they're going to be able to sort of stand their ground. They've got the charge defense against large, and they're pretty decent. I mean, these guys, you know, will hold very decently in that front line engagement. I've got one clan rats here. This was just, you know, I just had a bit of extra cash, a bit of extra bling, so I just chucked them in there. I mean, they're more of just going to play the sort of meat shield. I mean, if any cav chargers do come in, then these guys can sort of come around the back and get some nice charges in. I've got 4 rat ogres. I mean, as I say, I've been facing a lot of cav heavy builds, so having these rat ogres is just mandatory in my opinion. I mean, so I've got 4 of them, 3 out here, then just 1 in the forest over here, but I do believe I bring it back. Then, of course, without, you know, taking artillery, I wanted to bring something that I can, because you need, with Skaven, you have to bring some sort of shooty mechanic. So, I bought, you know, Warp Block Jezars, and I do have the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters. In my opinion, possibly one of the best units in Warhammer, you know, in Total War Warhammer. These guys are just, like, must picks. They can snipe out artillery, they can snipe out lords, casters, cavalry. They are just the shit. These guys are just a really, really cool looking unit. Anyway, yeah, they're really cool actually, the purple. I love the purple. But they basically have snipe, and they have stalk. So, you know, putting those together really makes them hard. Of course, I've got some Skaven slaves with spears over here. These were just to protect the Warp Block Jezals and the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters. I do have a Plague Priest as well. Plague Priest is very, very nice. I mean, I was very sort of, you know, wondering, should I bring him on his little, like, I don't know what you call this. I guess his, like, little bell tower thing. But it's not even, it doesn't even have a bell. Basically, I put him on his little, I don't even know what you fucking call this. But whatever it is, I put him on it. And I was very risky because I know the Empire can bring a lot of heavy guns. So, you know, I brought him on, but I noticed I had this little rock here, so in case he did have cannons, I had this nice little rock to protect me off it. But yeah, as for my lord, I've gone with a very sort of different pick. I actually really like bringing Tretch. Tretch is you don't really see Tretch much these days now, especially with Ikit Claw coming into the picture. You know, of course, Ikit Claw is like a better version of Tretch, more armor, better anti-large, but Tretch is really good. I really like him in the matchup because what you usually see a lot of you know, Empire players build now is they'll have a lot of, like, ways of dealing with big, like, you know, Doom Wheel. So if you take Ikit Claw on a Doom Wheel or Flail, they'll have ways of dealing with that with cavalry charges. And of course with Karl Franz, you know, he can always be very scary. But Tretch, you know, if Karl Franz comes and charges at Tretch is no pushover. Tretch, you know, Tretch will put up a fucking decent fight against Karl Franz, and he won't be, like, sniped out in a second like Skrok. Tretch will actually put up a decent fight, so I like bringing him. He's going to provide a lot of leadership to a lot of my nearby units. And then lastly, I've got 2 gutter runners on either side. I thought, do you know what, fuck it, I've never really brought these guys. I mean, you don't really bring gutter runners much anymore, but I wanted to bring some gutter runners. These nice looking assassin guys, and then of course they've got snare, they've got stalk, they've got fast forward moving, so very, very nice. As for my opponent though, his build was very, very anti-Skaven-y, so he's gone extremely wide on me. He's got Spearmen with shields, a very, you know, wise pick here, very good against rat ogres, and hell pits, anything like that. So if I'm doing hell pits or doom wheels, even doom wheels or doom flares, these guys are going to be able to just absolutely, you know, tank you know, this. Usually what I bring against Empires, I love going my doom wheel and flare build, but I didn't do that because I thought I wanted to try something different, because every time I do that, you know, usually the opponent has a lot of cavalry and I can never get in. So this would actually have been a really good flare doom wheel build, because, you know, so basically, yeah, he's got 1 swordsman, I think only 1, has he got 1 on the other side? No, so just loads of spearmen in the front line. He's got some flagellants in the back. I believe he's got 5 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flagellants. He's also got some outriders. These guys, you know, armor-piercing missiles, very good at taking out pretty much any Skaven units. Of course, if I expand Storm Vermin, these guys would be really good against that. As for his lord, he has got Boris TODBRINGER over here on foot. Yeah, Boris is really tanky lord. You know, you're not going to be able to take him out. He's got the the white cloak of Ulrich. Oh my god, I hate these words. But yeah, he's also got the rune fang, and you know, just regen. He's just a really tanky lord. He'll stay in the fight for a shit ton of time. But lastly, for my opponent's main build, he's got 2 bright wizards on horses. I mean, this is some really sort of, you know, funny shenanigans sort of shit going on here. But so he's got, of course, he's got fireball, and he's got sort of ruin on both of them, which is very, very nice. And of course, on both of them as well, he has got the power stone, so very, very smart. But let's get right into this replay. I'm sure this is going on too far, but basically, I mean, oh, he does have 1 unit here. What does he have here? Oh, he has the Sigmar Sons over here. So he's got that 1 unbreakable Sigmar unit here. This was a very... I liked this, actually. I think these guys will put in Vanguard. I think they can go Vanguard. Can these guys go Vanguard? Oh, no, they can't go Vanguard. So I didn't see them, actually. So, you know, very smart by putting them in those trees. That was a very smart move. You'll see in the later game why that works out for him very nicely. So at the moment, I thought, oh fuck, you know, what's my opponent doing? Because, you know, when you're playing Total Warhammer, you're always noticing that your opponent's going to do something fucking sketchy when they start going into the forest. I mean, maybe he just thought I was going to take a lot of artillery. Maybe he thought I was going to take a lot of, you know, warp lightning cannons, which is understandable, and I can see why he went in here. But I'm just going to speed this up a little bit, just because basically at the moment we're just sort of scouting. I'm just sort of picking at him. We're just being a little bit gay. We're just sort of feeling each other out, knowing what each other's got. I noticed that he'd gone extremely wide on me, so as soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, this is going to be one fucking grindy ass fight, because both of us have lords that are going to fight to the bitter end. Tretch ain't going to die. He's basically going to fight to the bitter end, and Boris, unless you fucking... Boris Johnson. Hey, we got Boris Johnson over here. Yeah, fucking hell. Should we call him Boris Johnson from now on? We got Boris Johnson over here, and he's actually got some similar hair to Boris Johnson, so, you know, that kind of works out quite well, actually. So we got good, bold Boris Johnson, but he was going to tank until the end. He's going to fucking... he wants you know, Brexit, get rid of all these Skaven that are invading his country. But basically, he's got the Outriders coming around the side here. And these guys, you know, they're looking for some juicy targets. These guys will take out Rat Ogres very quickly. So what I do here is I do pull the Gutter Runners around the side, and I do have my Warlock Jezal starting to shoot at these guys, because I knew these guys could be a problem. But my opponent does use 2 fireballs that both miss my Plague Priest. I mean, what a fucking joke is that? I mean, that's really funny. So the frontline engagement is happening here. He's got a lot of spearmen here. So my plan was, okay, let's pile the Rat Ogres over here and basically take out the units that my Skaven slaves can't. Okay, let's get rid of the Flagellants, and let's try and get rid of the Swordmen. The Swordmen rout off very quickly with all these Rat Ogres here. I must have like 16 Rat Ogres fighting in here. And then I try to take out the Flagellants. And the thing about Flagellants is they're unbreakable, which is so hard in this matchup for Skaven. I mean, you know, that's what Skaven are all about. Skaven are all about breaking units and having that, you know, basically chasing stuff off with leadership. But over here, we do get a really nice catch. So one of his Bright Wizards is being shot by my Warlock Jezals, and we do get some nice Rat Ogres rear charging on him. So luckily, we do actually be able to rout off this one here, and I do believe I chase him off with 1 Rat Ogre here. Yeah, so we just start to rout off. So one of these Rat Ogres is dedicated to chasing off those units. But I say this frontline engagement is happening. We've got the Plague Priest coming in, you know, using his armor. 1 Rat Ogre unit has taken some serious damage already. Glorious Warfire. But yeah, we've got some Flagellants coming around the side here. Of course, he's trying to get into my backline, which is understandable. He does have the Sigmar Sons coming as well, about to get a nice rear charge on my Warlock Jezals, which is understandable as well. You know, that was why it's very smart for him there. We do, of course, have this main engagement over here, though. You know, this is you know, very sort of interesting, because he's got Spearmen in here with Flagellants fighting against Rat Ogres and some Clan Rats. So, you know, it's a very sort of balanced fight, I'd say, because the Flagellants are going to rout off to the Rat Ogres, and the Spearmen are going to do some nice damage to the Rat Ogres. Tretch is in there. I wanted to get Tretch in there because, of course, Stand or Die can give some real nice buffs to, you know, melee defense and leadership to all nearby units. I did send some Rat Ogres on Boris Johnson over here, but unfortunately Boris Johnson is a tank, and he ain't going to go down without a without a fight. We have got some Flagellants over here tanking very nicely. They are, you know, fighting at some Rat Ogres and some Clan Rats with spears. These 2 units are going to clear up very nicely over here. We are still chasing off his Bright Wizard though with these Rat Ogres. I'm so glad I got one of these Bright Wizards off, because, as I say, if I let these guys live, you know, so long, it's going to be a real problem. So the balance power does go into my favour a little bit here, which is very good for me. However, my opponent does react very smartly here. He gets a nice, you know, rear charge on my Natty Bubo Sharpshooters and my Warlock Jezals. I do try to provide some cover over here, though. I do try to summon some Clan Rats and get them to attack the Sigmar Sons. Of course, they are unbreakable, so they are going to tank this very, very, very longly. But, you know, unfortunately, yeah, he does rout off one Warlock Jezals, and the other one here is in a bit of a tar pit, which they really do not want to be in. Tretch does come in to try and provide some leadership to try and keep these units in. My Plague Priest is attacking Boris Johnson over here, but Boris, to say, he's, you know, he's getting tar pitted by Rat Ogres, but as I say, he's got that regen, so pretty much we're not going to be able to deal with him until the end fight, and at the moment, my main key thing of doing is getting rid of these Outriders and the Flagellants. So, nicely here, though, I do have some Gutter Runners that I was using to basically tie down a lot of these Outriders. Basically, they're quite fast, so they can chase down really well. We do have another Bright Wizard here that's sort of, you know, chilling around, looking for a good opportunity to use some of his spells, but as you can say, Balance of Power is very even right now. So, what my main plan was now, because I could sort of see that right now we're not sort of winning this main fight, okay? Still got a lot of Flagellants. If I stay over here and fight, we're going to have a real big problem. So, what I do is I try to form a second gun line now. So, you see, as you can see, I've got these Natty Bubo Sharpshooters and these Warlock Jezals sort of routing back over here, getting shot by these Outriders. So, I actually really like the Outriders because, you know, I think his Warlock Jezals have a lot of armor, like 70 armor on these guys, so Outrider is actually a really nice pick here, taking out these guys. But, you know, as it's called, Warlock Jezals can shoot back very well. Tretch is in there, fighting against some Outriders, and he does have another unit of Flagellants, very, you know, good health. I do have the Plague Priest over here, but luckily, I do sort of react to this. I see that he's fighting Boris over here, and that's not really a good fight. So, I bring the Plague Priest back, sort of retreat him back over here. I want to get him back into this sort of secondary, you know, backline here. Well, this time, though, we do have some Spearmen fighting some Gutter Runners here, but got to send the Gutter Runners in. Luckily, Gutter Runners will actually win this matchup. It'll be a bit of a tar pit, but Gutter Runners will actually win that in the end, which is very, very nice for me. He is very smart. My opponent here being very smart, chasing off my Rat Ogres with his Bright Wizard. Very smart. I mean, they've still got, what, like five Rat Ogres here, and he's chasing them off, so that's really unfortunate for me. Some other Rat Ogres over here are chasing some Outriders, but they do start to rout off because they do start to get shot by some Outriders. I've got some Clan Rats over here chasing some other Outriders. So at the moment, I'm just sort of like, you know, seeing what I've got to work with right now. But as you can say, Balance Power is still very, very even. I mean, basically, my plan was, if we can get the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters and the Warlock Jezals back online, I can basically try to shoot down a lot of his cav, and which is what I start doing here. He does have his Outriders coming in here. I do get a nice summon just to block these Outriders, just absolutely tie these guys down, which was so beautifully used by me. So I've got the Plague Priest fighting with these Outriders, you know, and, well, fighting these Outriders with the Clan Rats, so that's really, really nice for me. But what my opponent was doing here was really smart. As you can see, he's sending these Flagellants up here to try and get rid of my Warlock Jezals. Because if he gets rid of these guys, then I've got no range capabilities. Basically, his cav can just run around me for days. Okay, so I thought to myself, my most important thing to do right now is to try and get rid of these Flagellants and try and get rid of these Spearmen to try and, you know, of course, save my backline. But these Flagellants here, they have a lot of health, and, you know, they're unbreakable, so they're going to be fighting right to the end. So Tretch is coming in here, and the Rat Ogres are coming in here. Luckily, though, my opponent was really clicking on the Warlock Jezal, so my Rat Ogres were just able to get free damage without getting a lot of return fire, which was really good for me, in my opinion. He should have just fought here with these Flagellants and realised that he was going to get in, because, as I say, the little damage you can get on these Rat Ogres with the Flagellants would have been really good for him. I do have, you know, the odd little bit of units coming back. Got some Clan Rats over here, some Clan Rats over here. But my opponent's got a lot of Spearmen, a lot of Flagellants coming in. He's still got one Bright Wizard. And I say, Balance of Power does go into my opponent's favour a little bit here. So, you know, it's looking very scary because he's got a lot of ammunition still on a lot of these Outriders. But we do get another beautiful summon here, right in the middle, right in the front of these Sigmar Suns, and in front of these Flagellants. So what? So basically, the Clan Rats here are very, very fast. I mean, these guys have, what, like 37 speed compared to the... Oh, actually, Flagellants have 36. So, they just outspeed them. So, luckily, we are able to catch up with the Flagellants and sort of tar pit them here, which is really good. He does miss an... Actually, no, okay. So, I think this fireball was... You see, I can't tell if that fireball was meant to go for my Plague Priest or these Natty Bubo Sharpshooters. I think it was meant for the Plague Priest, and it just landed here, luckily. But we are shooting into that Plague Priest now. I've had enough of these guys being in the game because, you know... The longer these guys are in game, the more Woods of Magic he's going to have, and of course the more value he's going to get. So I do start shooting at the Plague Priest with the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters and Warlock Jezals, and we do get some nice damage here. I am sort of chasing it down as well with those Gutter Runners, trying to sort of push back these Outriders because, I mean, look at the health I've got on my Plague Priest. Another Fireball coming in. And, you know, 200 HP going off. It's on free leadership. It's so close to dying here. As I say, Balance Pass really going to my opponent's favour now. And some Rat Ogres are, you know, almost to the point of where they're about to rout off. Tretch, though, on full health here. Tretch here being an absolute champ. He has finished off those Flagellants and is sort of sniffing out another unit to sort of push. I do have one other, I think I have one more summon here, and I do use it to block these Outriders here. And I do send the Rat Ogres in with these Clan Rats here. They're sort of tired down. These Outriders, of course, have got the Warlock Jez I was shooting in. And luckily here, this is really good for me. So we've got a really nice engagement here. He has got the Sigmar Suns and Flagellants coming in that will absolutely tear these Clan Rats with to pieces. But I've got Stand or Die here, and now we start to go on Boris Johnson here. Boris, as I say, he's going to tank. He's going to tank. What's Boris Johnson got? He must have like 85 armor. So yeah, we haven't got a lot of armor piercing in here. I mean, we've got some Rat Ogres and Tretch, but as I say, Tretch is really designed for more anti-large units. But at the moment, the Plague Priest is just chilling. I didn't want to move it around, because if you move around a Plague Priest, its Vigor is obviously going to go down, and it could tend to rout off. But my opponent has got, of course, this large group of Flagellants and these Spearmen coming back, so, you know, I've got to be really careful here. So we have got a bit of a tar pit going down here. Tretch in the middle, you know, just taking out what he can. We're doing some nice damage to Boris over here. His health bar does, well, not bar, healing cap does start to show, which is, you know, understandable. We are shooting off some Outriders as well. They were trying to come round and get into the back line here, but luckily I did notice that the Rat Ogres are routing off here, so it is getting a bit hairy. I mean, Balance of Power is really close here once again. Tretch versus Boris. We got Tretch fighting Boris over here. I mean, you know, Tretch has a very, you know, good amount of weapon strength. You know, he's going to hit really hard. So, you know, every little bit of damage that I get on Boris here is going to be really worth it. The Rat Ogres do come back in, which is really good for me. These guys still have 6 models, which is really nice. And we do catch off a lot of these Spearmen here, but unfortunately my Clan Rats and my Gut Runners are going to rout off, because they're not designed really to fight. A lot of these units, they're very low on leadership as well, which is very unfortunate. I do have one more summon. I think this was definitely my last one. My last summon of Clan Rats coming out to fight these Sigmar Suns and Flagellants here in the late game. These guys were so useful in the late game. Thank God I had this Plague Priest. I mean, if this Plague Priest was off by now, I would have lost. No, you know, no doubt, because these summons have literally saved my arse. So I've got some Clan Rats coming back in. Unfortunately, my Natabubo Sharpshooters are out of ammo, so they are going to charge in for the Horned Rat and do what little damage they can here. I mean, they don't really have much, you know, weapons. Actually, they have 29 weapon strength. A bit of melee defense as well, but they're not really designed, of course, to be in combat. Boris, though, here, he is at his healing cap now, so basically any damage we get onto Boris now will actually be really nice. And Tretch, you know, he's going for it. I literally thought to myself, now the balance of power does go back into my favour here, and you can see how close it is. Look, my Plague Priest on what, 200 HP? You know, Tretch is on almost, like, you know, almost down to half, and Boris is taking some serious damage here. We have got an interesting fight here, Tretch versus Boris. Tretch is a big-ass looking rat. And we are getting some serious nice damage on Boris, as I say. And I sort of use that sort of ability, I think that's Scurry Away, to sort of get in there and get some nice damage. What ability is that? Is that Scurry Away? Oh no, it's Verminous Vigor. But yeah, as you can see, Rat Ogres almost off leadership. You know, Plague Priest, I'm just sort of chilling here. I'm just sort of providing that leadership to Tretch, making sure that it's not, you know, not going anywhere. But I probably shouldn't have moved him here. I think that's called Pestilent Breath. See if I got that right. Yeah, Pestilent Breath. So yeah, we do, but Boris, you know, Boris is so close to routing off here, and I thought to myself, okay, if we can get rid of Boris, then we might actually have a chance of winning here. Boris just get a nice charge on my Rat Ogres and force them to rout off, which is really bad. But Tretch is here, getting another hit on Boris. Boris has, what, 300 HP, and it's only one more hit. My opponent here was making a large effort to get Boris out of there, which I completely understand, but Tretch is really fast. Tretch is, you know, a fast combatant. He's actually going to chase after here. Go for the charge. Does miss one hit on Boris. Boris has got 22 HP. He's so close to dying here. And Tretch coming in for that final hit does strike down Boris Johnson. I'm afraid he won't be Prime Minister today, lads. But yeah, unfortunately, no, I mean, we've got the Natabubo Sharpshooters, and all that we've got left is this Plague Priest. So I'm just going to speed this up here a little bit, because basically all my opponent's got left is some Spearmen, some Flagellants, and yeah, he does have one unit of Flagellants sort of hiding in the forest here. I don't know if my opponent knew about them. I mean, you'll see why at the end here. So we do chase off these Spearmen. He does have 2 sort of sitting in this forest here, 2 little Flagellants sitting in this forest here. So we do basically you know, basically, I did know that he had these Flagellants here. So basically, what me and my opponent do here is I say, oh, you know, you've got 2 Flagellants in the forest here. And he says, oh, I was watching a stream, I didn't know. I thought he was being a dick, but it turns out he was actually being a nice guy, and we just both sped it up here. And basically, it just comes down to this final fight here. between the Flagellants and Tretch, really. And Tretch, you know, these guys can do a lot of damage to Tretch, but as I say, Tretch is very tanky. So we are sort of fighting here right to the bitter end. As I say, we've only got 1 minute left on the timer. It was very sort of interesting to see where this was going to go. I had no idea where this was going to go. Last, you know, 20 seconds here between Tretch. Tretch, I love bringing Tretch. Tretch is my new sort of favourite lord to bring against Empire. He's very tanky. He's going to win, you know, against Karl Franz. And a lot of those, you know, really good lords are sniping out Skaven. So I recommend anyone who's new, you know, bringing or playing Skaven against Empire, bring Tretch. He's just such a, you know, sort of secure pick. And it's a draw. After all that battle, this game was a full 20 minutes and it did come to a draw. Very, you know, nice guy playing against you, dude. Had a lot of fun with this game. Really, really fun. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry it was quite a long one, but, you know, it was a really good game. I wanted to get it out there. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.